A huge shout out to the overthinkers.
An overthinker. He watches the show.
To the overthinkers, shout out Buffet too.
Keep inspiring the next generation.
Shout out to the overthinkers. Thando kuphela. Much love.
To my overthinkers, mamela ubuchopho ngeke buphume buyakhula nizinja nikhokho yazini as overthink siya overachieve.
I'm stealing that. I've stolen that one. I've stolen it.
Welcome everybody to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is George Mokwena. I am your host. This show is on every Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. Unless we have watch-alongs where we might be live on 7:30, watching the big three, Sundowns, Chiefs, Pirates, BAFANA, Banyana. And also in other cases, we've watched the Banyana Bastyle man in the Champions League because we love football that much. On Friday, tomorrow is going to be the members show. So it's not going to be at 7. It's going to be at 12:30. 12:30, you're going to hear from my breadwinners, the people that financially contribute towards this show, the people that are talking 24/7, that banter, that send pictures, that do voice notes. Hey, we just do so many things in that group that are amazing. If you want to be part of that group, YouTube, you can head on over to YouTube. And apologies, I am just having a connection issue. Evan. Okay, there we go. I think I'm back. Yo, I just had a bit of a connection issue there. But anyway, yeah, guys. So, as I was saying, if you want to be part of the breadwinners, head on over to YouTube, click on subscribe, then click on join, and you'll be able to join the WhatsApp group. And also, I have other content that is out there. We've crossed over 1,000 for interview. Yami with the coach Busmuzi Vilagazi. So thank you so much to those who went over to watch. Encourage more people to go watch, man. There's shorts there, there's other things. There's a video I'm releasing very soon that's going to be very incredible about Imamuluji Sundowns. So please support me over there. I did one, agent. I did one. I'll drop it at some point. I did one. Okay, so let's see. Oh, technology. Okay, guys, today I want to speak about Hugo Broos and his Bafana team. As you know, we're going to go into the international break next week, and Bafana is going to be in action twice, once versus Andorra on the 21st of March, and then on the 26th of March, they'll again come in and play Algeria. So we've got some internationals there, but I want to speak about this Bafana squad. Let me start by saying, this is the squad, then I'll tell you what I want to speak about. The goalkeepers, we have Ronwen Williams, Bruce Vuma, and Ricardo Kos, a Chiefs player inside. Defenders, you have Sydney Nico Mobi, Grant Kekana, Terence Mashiko, Nkosinatis Bisi, Upodela, Aubrey Mudiba, Tapelo Morena, Tapelo Toki, and then Siabonga Ngezana, Chiefs Alum, a man who's doing incredible things over there in Romania. Then for midfielders, we have Tebo Mukwena, Spepelos Toilet, Goodman Musele, and Grant Macheman. Those are the midfielders. Then up front, we have Temba Zwane, Utito, Patrick Maswanganyi, we have Osman Apolis, Mihlali Mambela, Mlondi Mbajwa, Elias Mukwana, Ikram Reyners, and Kanyisa Mayo, a man who we have been crying about. Guys, stick around. The second topic is going to be about the UEFA Champions League new format and what we feel about that. But for now, what I want to speak about is that Hugo Broos has made 10 changes to this Bafana squad from the last time we saw Bafana play. The players who didn't make it, who have been left behind is Umotwa, Velimotwa, Siana Tulum, Vala, Mudau, Masego, Munare, Lepasa, Adams, Mahopa, and Tau. Those are the players that have been left out. And then, of course, the players that made it in are Buma, Koki, Ngezana Mosele, Mahman, Tito, Mayom, Banjwa, Reyners, and Mukwana. The players that we've all been saying, well, there are a lot of these players, everybody's been saying they deserve a chance, they deserve to come in, we must give them a look, we must do all of those things. And what I want to speak about today is, one, how do we feel about those changes? Because we do know that we're going to go into some crunch matches later on in the year versus in Nigeria to try qualify for the World Cup. And of course, AFCON 2025 is going to be next year. So is this the time to be tinkering with the team? Is this the time to be breaking the momentum of some of the players, or is he doing very well to give other players a look in these friendly matches? This is what I want to speak to you about today, but also just in general, man. How are we feeling about Bafana Bafana? I need to, every now and then, I need to come in and give us, and check the temperature, man. Check the temperature. Guys, hey, we've been having internet problems in SA. We've been having internet problems in SA, and it seems like they're carrying on. Guys, just let me know that you can hear me. Please, just let me know that you guys can hear me, because it seems as though my internet is teka-taking, as the internet has been teka-taking today. So yeah, those are the things that I want to speak about today. And then, of course, later on, like I said, we're going to touch on Champions League's new format. They've announced a new format for the Champions League, which is very, it's an interesting thing. Let's see. It seems like all of our network is teka-taking, man. I think all of our networks are teka-taking today. There was an announcement that there's a little bit of an internet issue. So I'm going to open up, guys. Let's get right into it, and we'll see if these internet issues persist. We'll just cut the show short. But remember, you have to be following me on TikTok in order to add your voice to the show. So let me see who is here. Agent, my brother, how are you?
I'm not good, hey. These things of networks that are taking, we heard them with our Ville and others, hey? Not us.
Well, it seems like it's a South Africa problem. South Africa as a whole has been hit by teka-taking networks. Tell me, Agent, what do you think of this Bafana squad?
I think before I go to two things that I wanted to talk about, I think I just saw something, Lawrence post, last post, you know, and it brought an interesting conversation that I think it has been at the back of my mind, you know. I think he was being called a lot of stuff, foreigner, German, Malaysian slaves, all kinds of names, simply for saying maybe Akon should have been included, you know. Akon is a Nigerian, Akon, yeah, sorry, Akon. Akon is what? Is the singer, yeah.
Hey, let me not go there anyway.
Age is catching up. But I think it brings the question that is including foreigners, quote unquote, is it a bad thing for our national team, you know? Because I think we've had very good internationals.
Yeah.
Recently, Sereno is a South African. He's now played. He's eligible to play for Bafana. And we can even go back and count the days of Abonulej Mosona. You know, we could have easily, have converted him to a South African, and we've been leaking up front.
Yeah.
Do we have that fascination that we want purely only South Africans? I don't know. I think that's my question.
But why is it an issue now? Because Okon was in the squad, I think a couple of months back.
Yeah, people don't follow soccer like that. Hey, but what I'm interested in, I think, like I said, it's a bigger issue that it's not the first time that I'm seeing this. Even when Sereno is brought up, that can we bring in Sereno? Like, no, he's a foreigner, only one pure South Africans. And I think it's not only normal fans. I think I've seen a couple of legends saying, he will be taking a space of a development player or Umufuking or Campbell or something, So I think that's what I'm saying. I don't know, maybe I'm the one who doesn't have a problem with it because I see other countries are doing it. And maybe some will argue because France and England and everybody's doing it doesn't mean we should do it.
Well, let's have the conversation because the technical director of SAFA, Walter Steenbok, has said that SAFA is looking into naturalized players, looking into players from all over around the world that may be able to play for Bafana Bafana. For me, I don't necessarily care too much as long as it makes Bafana Bafana better. I don't think automatically because players come from foreign nations or they can be put in the team that it automatically makes the team better or worse. I just think that if we do have the chance to bring in these guys, why not? Why not have a look? I mean, you know how I feel about in the national team. You know, whoever's best must play. Just let them play. So I don't know where the issues would be coming from, honestly speaking.
Okay, but I think maybe as fans come on, I think maybe they will explain someone who have different views. But I think anyways, onto the squad, I think I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I think I'm ambivalent about it because I think for me, if ever there was an opportunity to call in youngsters and players who were not part of the AFCON, this was the chance, you know? I think we've seen what players at the AFCON can do for us as a nation. I think for me, this was a chance to call Abu Mayo, Abu Campbell, Abu Reyners, Abu Mufuki, Abu Saleng, you know, Abu Masongai, you know, all those kinds.
Yeah.
You know, so that we can have a new team, you know, so that we can freshen up, you know, the team a bit. But then again, the upside to it says, but how many friendlies are we gonna have between now and the next competitive match, which is I think is June against Nigeria, I think.
Yeah.
Probably none, you know. So maybe this is another chance to just oil the machine a bit again to say, guys, let's keep going. So I don't know. I think both ways I understand them, but if anything, Coach Bruce has shown that he's the man he thinks he is. So we give benefit of the doubt.
Do you think that there's I'm looking at the squad, right? And I'm seeing people coming in. And I'm also looking at comments he's made, like for example, Pesitau Hore. No, you know what? Pesitau went through some things during that AFCON when it comes to social media and media pressure, so he's resting him. Does it feel a little bit like these friendlies are throwaway games? Because for me, it doesn't feel as though these players are going to be guys that are going to make it into the team full time. It seems like he's just put the other guys, he's let the other guys sit down, like and just to rest a little bit. Do you get that feeling?
I think I want to choose a team which is far away from our neighbors, so that because I know they listen to the show around today, cause any unnecessary enemies. What is the use of us playing Madagascar of Europe, you know, when the next game is against the Super Eagles?
Yeah.
Isn't a proper preparation for the Super Eagles playing a country closer to Nigeria's style of football, you know, Cameroon or whoever who's close there to them, you know, Mali, those tall guys, you know. We saw that when it comes to physicality, we're not at our strongest. So I think it's a missed opportunity on that side, you know. I think for me, it's best to have two friendlies. One is a friendly where you're going to give the rest of the guys a good run, you know, to see what they can give. And the other, a more of a preparation, a friendly where you bring in your first 11, proper first 11, you know, strong as possible, and go against a team that's going to be similar in terms of style of play to the team that you're going to be playing, you know. But it looks like even our friendlies are not as organized, you know. Hence, sometimes I ask, who is the technical member or technical support member of SAFA, you know, who's looking after Bafana games, you know, because it's not always necessary. What is it? Not necessary, but it is important. As much as friend is important, but the opponent is important. And sometimes it's not about the ranking of the opponent, but the opponent that you're playing next and playing is a similar kind of team. You know, if you're going to be playing in an artificial pitch in Rwanda, go to Botswana and play in an artificial pitch against Botswana. You know, I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I get you. Well, that's
Yeah.
I think over and above that fact, for me, my worry with this team, honestly, is that it feels a little bit like the Rwanda game, where there were some players who came in and they were just brought in to audition. Isn't it a time right now where maybe we should be closer to having that second team that we always complain about with the Bafana, that we've got a first team, but when you look on the bench, man, it's random people. And now you look at Bo Adams are out, you look at Bo Lepasa, Bo Mnara are out. And when you look at the people who've come in, honestly, I don't think Bruce has plans for them. So is it just we're wasting an opportunity here that at the very least you could bring in the guys, okay, maybe the guys from the AFCON bench, maybe some people who are actually next in line? Are we sitting in a situation where Mtanzani is the next Zwane, and then we never see Mtanzani again? Modi has to come in and play. Maybe it was just an apology tour, then he never comes in again. Are we sitting with that, or should Bruce be focusing on maybe strengthening and creating a second side?
I think South African football is a political arena also, because there was noise. I know he deserves it. He deserves it. Like, no doubt, he deserves it. Right? Obavuma. But for me, I feel like his inclusion at the expense of dropping Umota. I know Umota's not playing. Like, he deserves it. I think, I don't know how I can put this so that it doesn't seem like I'm saying Bavuma doesn't deserve it. But I'm on some. He deserves it. But is it at the expense of upsetting the rhythm that was in the squad at AFCON? Knowing fully well that it is possible that he's not gonna play. Unless if Bruce plays him in one of the games and plays Williams another game, then I would understand. But if you bring in Bavuma and not play him, then I'm like, shouldn't you at least have brought Omota, who knows his place? Who knows? I'm just there to give some moral support. I'm not gonna play. It's fine. What do you do to Bavuma's confidence when you don't play him?
Yeah.
So I think, and also if the whole rationale of taking youngsters to AFCON was, these are the youngsters that you've identified and these are the youngsters you're going to build the team around, why are you not calling them to the next squad? The whole process becomes useless because you have said you're taking them there to gain experience, but next thing you don't bring them in. It doesn't make sense. I think for me, like I said, it should become irrespective of your club form as a youngster, because as youngsters, you're going to have up and down, But the fact that you are saying we're building a team around you, then it means every squad you should be there, If you're saying we're building a squad against Campbell, around Campbell, Mofokeng, Jaden, Ogon, Masayoko, I expect that at least those 6-7 players, every squad, they should be sure, like, hey, you know what, even if I don't perform well, I'm going to be there, and I'm going to get minutes, because the whole plan is you are building a team around them. When was the last time you heard that our under-23 is playing?
That's what I wanted to ask you next, that are we building around players that, okay, they might be playing at club level, but in terms of internationals, they're not getting a chance up there and they're being thrown directly into Bafana.
Exactly. There is no. I think I was listening to Gareth's interview earlier on, and he was talking about the exclusion of Maino. It's like, he's playing well, but I want him to go through the under 23 route. Why? Because I think the rationale was him. I might call him, but look in the midfield. Who am I going to exclude to include him? Because I want him to gain international experience. So let him go to under 23 and play there, and I think for me, I don't know who the coach of under 23 is, but for me, I feel like it should be. I feel like it should be Innocent Minute Express Mkelele,
Yeah.
So that there's that linkage between the 23 and the national team,
But couldn't the same be said? Couldn't the same be said about the Kusafa team? That I think what I'm worried about with Bruce, and again, he's earned all the respect that he can earn. We're just asking questions. What I'm worried about with Bruce is that there isn't a secondary team. So we've got our first team, we know Abozwane, Abopesi, all of those guys. We don't know who's next, whether it be within the Bafana setup, whether it be within COSAFA setup, whether it be within under 23. And I know it's not his fault, but shouldn't we worry that, man, there isn't a conveyor belt, that we're still auditioning guys right now? We spoke about Umayo, and he said, Kanyisa Mayo, I gave him a chance last time. The reason why I didn't go to AFCON, he didn't look right when I gave him a chance. I think he played versus Rwanda or something. And then he said that now I'm going to try him again. Should he be at the stage of trying, especially knowing that Nigeria is around the corner, knowing that, I know I asked a lot of questions there, but,
I think there's too much discourse and the judgment. There's Bruce there, there's under 23 there, there's COSAFA there, there's PSL there, there's SAFA there, like all these things are supposed to be one complete cycle, but that is joined, I think that's the thing that's creating the most problems, And with Bruce, he came here and he had a plan that I'm going to develop this nation, and that didn't quite work out well, And he's like, you know what? Let me just get results and get out of here, He's reminding me of Sir Alex in his last season,
Yeah.
That team was old. That team was old. Whoever was gonna come next was gonna have to do a clear out, And whoever is gonna come after Bruce is going to have to build from scratch. So I think that's the problem. I think he's looking for quick fix problems. It's like, okay, Afran there looks like we're a bit toothless, Zwane there is a bit old, we need a replacement. So let me see. I'm gonna try trainers, I'm gonna try someone there, I mentioned Masongai, I'm gonna mention Masongai there. Let's see, So I think he's at that. He's only testing where he feels like the weak points. He's not necessarily interested in regenerating the next squad. I feel like for him, 2025 is here. Is AFCON, 2026 is
The World Cup.
The World Cup, and he feels like, okay, it's 2 years, I can survive with top and gaps. Yeah.
For me, it feels like, do you know what it feels like? It feels like I'm going to use my team, Arsenal playing the early rounds of Europa, where you just go, hey man, just let the kids run out. Let the guys who are knocking, quote unquote, just run out. Give them a chance to play. I know my first team. The first team, I'm going to rest them. I know some of them have played a lot of games. Let me just rest them next time. That's how it feels to me. And sometimes it worries me a little bit at the national team level. What I want to speak about, Agent, the last thing I want to speak about before we go to the next topic. Bruce highlighted something where he spoke about Percy Tau and the abuse that he got, and the abuse that he got from the fans during AFCON, and maybe needing a break from the national team because he wasn't right. Should we be expecting, and I know I'm going to ask an unfair question, but should we be looking at the players and saying, Mara, guys, you're professional players, you know what's at stake? Social media, man.
I think it's a similar discussion we've had some time back, that, if you can stay out of it, your family sees what you're seeing, what they're seeing, it's on social media. It affects them also, it affects your kids, it affects your wife, it affects your mother, your father, your cousin, and somehow someone is going to get to you, So you can't put a blanket on social media again. And also remember this is a new generation, Gen Z, they just can't survive without a phone. Yesterday, during the day, I was seeing Tashrik on an Instagram, on a TikTok live, with a white girl. And I'm like, things have changed, eh? Things have changed. There's a game at half 6, at half 7, on TikTok lives. But anyways, That's what it is. So I think we have to understand that it is this generation that we live in, you know. And like I said, I've never seen Lorenz losing his cool, but he lost his cool on his post also, you know. So like, he's asking people for that metric certificate. But so just to show us that we are all human after all, you know. And it's difficult to deal with people. It's very difficult to deal with people because even you, the moment you slip up, you will see that people don't like you. Just don't slip up. Like, even if you can do this for 10 years or 20 years, that one moment you're gonna have a slip up, they're gonna come after you, you know. It's like the same conversation that we have with Oshalulile, you know, that people, is it his time to go now? Shalule should be arrested. Is it time for him to be sold? Is he old? Is he blah? And then you're like, hey, but this guy has been carrying Sundowns scores for past 3, 4, 5 seasons.
Yeah.
You know, we have to give him benefit of the doubt. You know, Pesitao didn't have the best of performances, you know, but then you bring in Makali Mayambela and he comes in and is not doing anything better than what Tawi is doing. At least Tawi has that aura about him that he's the inter-CAF player of the season, you know, of the year. So people watch football on emotions. Not everyone sits down and analyzes the game and say, but if this is happening, this can happen. If we take out Tau, then there's. So it's a difficult conversation, eh? It's a difficult conversation, and I think it goes back to the mental health of players, and them being taught how to deal. Because, like I said, they can't run away from media, social media. It's a matter of how do we educate them to deal with trolls on social media. You know, like just because you say an insult doesn't mean it should affect you. You know, sometimes you just wave it off and ignore it. You know, but emotional intelligence is one of the most difficult intelligences you can ever acquire. So yeah, I understand the reasoning, you know, and I think it goes back to the example that you gave yesterday. That was it Phillips who was complaining about Pep, you know, and I gave an example of Shaw against Mourinho. Shaw was like, this guy is fat, you know, he doesn't have a brain, he's using my brain, I tell it to go there, you go there, and that affected Shaw, you know. So the mental space is a tricky space. It is a tricky space. I don't know to you.
Is there any way to avoid it? I spoke to, in my interview with Coach Vilagaz, I spoke to him and I asked him if they had any rules about social media, like you're saying about Robo Chesrika on TikTok Live. Yeah, man.
It's you, it's not me.
No, I know. Hey, guys, I think we're struggling with this. But, okay, I'm going to ask one last question. Let's see if we can push through. Apologies to those in the comments, guys. Hey, network is kicking all of us today. Should there be rules? Is there a way to control it? Is there a way to shield yourself from it? Coach Vilagaz spoke about Coach Steve Kompela, where Steve Kompela says, me, you'll never catch me on social media. If I ever hear something about me, it's going to come from somebody else telling me. You'll never see me going there. Coach Vilagaz himself said, he doesn't mind. He goes. Am I still on?
I can hear you.
Oh, he goes on to the Facebook pages after they play. He reads the comments, sees what they're saying. Is there a way to shield the players, especially for Pesitao, who are not like, maybe Chashrik can handle it a bit differently than Upesi? Is there a way to keep this? Because what happens when he comes back and the same thing happens again? You know, what happens when something happens, Bafana, he goes back to Al-Ali, and you know how Al-Ali is. Can we protect them?
Oof. You know, hey, someone must pass the message that Rolani will be preparing for Marisburg using just 5 pin laptop, since he doesn't do social media. But anyway, you're not there. Can you stop players from having phones?
No.
Yeah, can you stop players from maybe buying these speed cars so that they don't get into accidents. Like I think it's culture, man. Culture has evolved. I think for older guys it's possible, and it's different. Sometimes I don't know about you, but sometimes I want to go off social media, man, for like a week or two and just refresh, because it is a straining energy. I don't speak a lot. I don't talk a lot on social media. I don't do any kinds of stuff, but it's very straining, extremely straining. But I understand that maybe LBBT one before technology kind of, so it's difficult. It's easy for me to say I can disconnect from social media, but for people who have money, who have love for technology, it's very difficult, So I think it's difficult to put in rules, but I think what we can do is education, what we can control, at least let's educate. We can control players drinking, but we can educate them and say, guys, at least drink nyana, one nyana, hey, one nyana, so that at least it's not bad, I almost mentioned players, but yeah, chefs, please, man. Waninyana is fine. Waninyana is fine, and then you can come, But yeah, I think it's a case of saying, guys, moderate your social media activities, and with technology. I know I'm not technologically savvy, but I think there's options for you to see what you can see, can prevent. I'm calling you, man. Is it Mutsepe?
No, it's TikTok. Every time my network dies, it has to remind me that, hey, your network is not,
but
not
it's
networking.
Fine. But it's very stable, eh? It's very stable. But I think, what was my point? That these...
Okay, TikTok, I know.
These safety mechanisms, I know you can switch off comments, you can switch off this. So I think, yeah, we can teach these guys that there are safety things to what do you call it,
this is a very
to prevent such kind of things, and also these algorithms that if you feel like you're a footballer, you're not supposed to be seeing things about where you're playing. If I'm a Sundowns player, I don't want to see anything about PSL, If you teach them that other things should be about EPL, should be about maybe African games and everything like that, but stay away from PSL pages and PSL algorithms, yeah.
And okay, I hear your point, but isn't it a situation where they need to learn to live with it? Because, hey, when you hide from something, the moment you see it, or one of the moment, like, I could switch off comments for everything of mine, but the moment a comment comes through and says, hey, that guy from Overthinking Football, yeah, Lereza, it's the problem that's affecting all of us, guys. It's the problem that's affecting all of us. I think I might even end the show early because of it, because it seems like it's really affecting the people who are listening, and I think we really do need to have this conversation. I think it's one of those things where, and maybe it's because I'm not a player, I've never been a player. My notifications are not notifications like the other guys. But for example, I have a rule of my own, for example, where I go, for those who don't know, I don't reply to comments. Good, bad, ugly. I don't reply to comments outside of the live show and speaking to you guys in the group. But it's to stop me from, number one, good comments are just as harmful as bad comments. And now I'm going back and forth and I'm doing all these weird things. It's not that I'm hiding from it. I look at them, I see them, and I'm like, okay, I have to live with it. Are we not harming the players a lot more when we say, "Hey guys, hide," And that's the one question. And then number two, is this not just, are we blowing these things out of proportion? Are we maybe blowing these things out of proportion? I remember Abo Machens, was it Machens in an interview? He said, we also had pressure as players because I needed to go home to I stayed with my parents. So when I lose and go back to Soweto to your parents and know that people are right next door and you'll find people waiting for you and they know where you live. Is it not just, the evolution of things that maybe it's what a player's life is?
There's a song, I don't know if you know it. It says Kebo Mama's Baby. It's got one about a soft and song, we are producing a new generation, I know your kid right now, if he was to go through challenges you went through when you're young, he won't survive. He will tell you that I have depression, I have what. Hey, I was listening to a friend of mine, and he's talking about his daughter, that his daughter is not eating, and it's like the only way for his daughter to eat is like if she can incentivize her to have juice after the food, right? And then I'm laughing and I'm like, hey, you guys are like, with us our only incentive was the steak. At least you guys have juices and goodies after, so but it's is the new life.
Hey, man.
Like Steve said, tough times trade toughies and soft life trade softies, so we're in a generation which is very soft. It's a jelly generation, so we can't
My gosh. Jeez, man.
yeah, we can't compare the generations. I think they're different, because I think this one is extremely soft. So even
And
one
for
thing,
me, for me, it's not
Yeah.
even about the soft. For me, it's about at what point do we say to these guys that it's job, this is part of the job. There's an interview that I watched of one of the actors from Big Bang Theory, the guy who played Leonard. And he said, they asked him about paparazzi. And they were like, don't you guys get sick of paparazzi? And he was like, I could complain about paparazzi, but I can't complain about paparazzi. And then the next day I'm walking my family down the red carpet. You get what I mean? Like there's the good and the bad. In as much as, yes, I there is that feel for them and there is that part where you have to look after mental health and things like that. But also, these guys get to play an incredible game for a lot of money in front of a lot of fans. They get a lot of love. And yes, the bad is also there, but is that not part of the job? Like, for example, I know that I can't control the comment section every day. And there'll be people that jump in and go crazy. It's part of the job because I can't legislate and say no, half of the people. And I know it might sound a bit weird because I'm saying it as somebody who I don't have that much of a following. Like I don't have that big of a platform or whatever. But best believe there's hate every day, there's things like that. But isn't it part of my job because I get to do this? And also you can't control everyone. At what point do we look at footballers, whether it's the guys from the new age or the old age? The old age guys used to say, Pella, go, the old age guys miss a penalty for Pirates and you might get stabbed in the 80s, The new age guys miss a penalty and you might get a lot of comments and things. But is that not part of the... and I'm not condoning it, but it's not part of the job at this point.
Some years back, I was somewhere in the outside the continent, and I came back and started doing some things, and so I was going through stuff of my own, and I saw this therapist, and he told me sometimes it's good to run away from your problems. And as an advice that I've always taken, that if I were to write down what I do, 90% of people would dislike me, because of things that we do, So sometimes, like I said, it's okay to run away from your problems. If you can avoid it, you can. It's fine. And I was seeing my master's being dragged on social media somewhere, and I was like, hey, if only people knew, they won't want me on the show.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like sometimes it is okay to run away, and I think it's an advice on any life, if you can run away from a problem, sometimes run away, but for how long can you run away for it? People always get curious, people always find a way of getting to you. So at some point you do have to grow a bit and say, but hi man, I'm old now, I think I can deal with the trolls, but I guess it comes with maturity also, and I think it goes back to with the culture that sometimes you forget that these players academically and otherwise they're challenged, Look, I'm not saying anything, most of them from under 12, anything that you have ever been used to is football, and it's football pressure. You have never experienced the other side of life, and life itself, it builds you. It makes you a bit tougher, it makes your mental health, your emotional intelligence a bit better, but from as young as 12, 13, the only thing that you've been known is go to school, come to training, train like this, do this. You've been told what to do. Now, that is all fine and good until you reach 18, 19, when now you have a bit of freedom. There's training in the morning and there's training in the afternoon. What do you do with those free times, And most of
With
them,
all the money and all of the fame.
all the money, with all the fame, with everything, That's where the distractions comes of ladies and everything, but you're not there. But again, it comes to, okay, fine. People have been taking decisions from you all this time. What happens now when they can't? This is where now it gets them to say, but okay, let me get on social media. But have you been told and been trained on how to use social media? And that's where things become a bit tricky, that these players, they know nothing, and even sometimes the way you read the comment, sometimes I listen to Abuti Kuto, Abuti Kuto would troll Sundowns, and I'll not respond to his trolls. I just take what he was trying to say, because most of the times he has a point, and just respond to it, So that thing comes with a bit of maturity to say, but okay, this person is saying all the insult, mother, father, what, but he's saying, I didn't play well. And then I reflect, did I play well? No, I didn't play well. What can I do to improve? Do this. Someone is coming, hey, you, that. Well, didn't you see that Losh was making a run? Forget the insults. Take the message and say, but okay, but did I see Losh's run? Why wasn't I seeing it? Can I make more of those diagonal passes? Like you're saying, positivity and negativity are both twins. You will learn from both the negatives and the positives. So I think that's what players are lacking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna end the show there, because it keeps disconnecting on my side as well. We'll have our members show tomorrow, but I think we heard a very good.
And I think this conversation, it needed when the network is fine, because I think we need to talk about social media, football, and like I said, sometimes you forget that yes, these people have money, yes, these people have all these things, but deep inside they're still kids. Like even if they still kids inside, So sometimes like we divorce them from reality, and sometimes we forget that they have not matured. They might have money and everything much better than us. They might take our girls and women and everything, but still they're immature, But yeah,
I think it's the gap. For me, I think it's the gap, because I think Tashriq, for example, being live on TikTok before a game, and bear with me, I think it's a good thing. I think that the new generation who understand social media, understand trolls, and it's not a big thing to them. You know what I mean? Like it's not a make or break type situation with them, especially the very young ones. So I think that is a very good thing. I think the problem is going to be bridging the gap with the guys who are in between, like Bo Pesita Uba, like Bo Lyle Foster Ba, who aren't necessarily youngsters, but they're not very old. But that crossover, I think that is the issue. Because I'd imagine, for example, funny enough, probably, and I don't know this, don't quote me on this, but I'd imagine Tashrik might have a harder time with a so-called expert speaking on TV badly about him than he would have the general public on social media. Whereas you'll find that with Percy, it might be the other way around, where Percy doesn't, Robert Marawa saying something about me on TV, I don't really care. But now maybe dealing with the volume of his social media is an issue. You're actually right. This is a conversation that we need to have. It's a bigger convo.
And it's interesting though, because I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to touch on Tao. I think you've seen that I have barely mentioned Tao in this conversation. It was deliberate, but hey man, Tao, you are playing at the most outrageous club probably in Africa. Like, the fans are the most vile people in the continent. Like, if you think South Africans are trolls and they're abusive and they're everything, and the pressure of everything, and you have to deal with that for the whole season. I think maybe it's showing that maybe our players somehow, somewhere, they're not growing, because I expect maybe a Omakopa maybe to not have a difficult time, because like, okay, not even Makopa, I'm like, okay, but you're used to Paris fans, I don't know who I can quote, maybe Jaden Adams, I'm like, yeah, that one I understand. You've not been exposed to that kind of environments, but the inter-club player of Africa, you're in the same bracket as Abu Salah and everything. You want to tell me that we have not matured from taking negative comments? Like, unless if he says he started using internet or Facebook, whatever, during AFCON, then I would understand. But I'm sure after every early game that he misses, he gets attacked. Most of that he's black. So I don't know how I feel about it. But then I guess maybe it hits home more when when it's from your home base, and like when Kwana is saying, maybe also the language, sometimes I tell people that if I were to say, I can say human private part, a female private part, it sounds good, eh? Let me say it in Swana. You'll see that I was not saying anything which is good.
Hi guys, no, I think I want I want to make this a proper topic when network is proper and everything is fine. I'm also going to put aside the topic we're speaking about the Champions League, because it seems I'm also getting disconnected a lot. So guys, Agent, thank you so much for joining me. I think I'm going to close it, and we will see each other tomorrow at 12:30, because yeah, this network is being ungovernable even on my side too, and we are having problems, and I think it's taking away from the type of conversation that I want to have. So guys, I'll see you tomorrow at 12:30. Follow if I'm not followed, man.